everyone, I'm Bridget Peoples, and today I have the pleasure and honor of interviewing Caroline. She has, I'm going to actually let her tell her story and the name of her business and what led her on this journey. I understand back in November 25th, 2013, you had an out-of-body experience, and I'm so excited to hear the details and share that with the world. I think that by us doing this and meeting people that we normally wouldn't interact with, I think it gives all of us just an inch maybe or a couple of steps in their shoes for understanding and compassion and just knowing that we're all connected. So thank you.
My pleasure. There's a little bit of preamble to my story about the out-of-body experience. So I would say about a year before I had the experience, I was doing a lot of meditation work, and I was getting really comfortable with relaxation and just sort of my mind and body in different states. And I do think that that was an important factor in me being able to have the experience and even, I guess, recognizing it and not being freaked out when it happened. And also other people in my family have had these experiences spontaneously. And, you know, I always sort of believed it was possible. And I also think that was an important factor in it. But so, yeah, I was doing a lot of meditation work, and I began to have these really vivid dreams about me swimming as a child. And I didn't really think that much about them other than they were just really beautiful. You know, I just felt really relaxed and just completely at peace. And I wasn't sure what the reason for that was, but it just felt kind of, you know, somehow it really resonated. And so fast forward, I guess, a year or so later, and I was just scrolling on Facebook as people do, with sort of this, you know, always interest in the back of my mind about anything to do with out-of-body stuff, because I did have people in my life who had experienced it spontaneously. I came across sort of this almost like a spam post about how to get into the state of relaxation where it becomes easy to facilitate your experience. And so this
that's kind of cool.
It is. So the article spoke about being sort of in this state where you're deeply relaxed yet alert. So the body is, you know, very relaxed, but the mind is alert, which you do experience in meditation, and you are able to control that if you're, you know, really into it.
Yeah.
And then in the article, it talked about one method to leave the body is to swim out. And so that really resonated. And I just sort of, you know, put that on the back burner in my mind. And I was like, you know, isn't that interesting that, you know, that those, that swimming sort of, you know, connected to the out of body. So in November 25th, 2013, I had a bunch of errands to do downtown, and I did it on foot, and it was probably the first really cold, lousy day of the season. And I had been outside in the cold, and I was really just happy to have my errands completed. You know, my house was clean, and I just felt this deep sense of peace. And I decided that I was just going to relax and listen to an audiobook in my bedroom. And I laid down on my bed, and I you know, pressed play for the audio, which happened to be an Ayn Rand biography, which is kind of a funny thing. But I guess I was just really into listening to the audiobook, and suddenly I sort of something dawned on me, and I was like, oh, you know, you're in that really relaxed state, like your body's really relaxed and you're just very comfortable and content, but your mind is very alert. And I just sort of sat with that for a minute, and just something in my mind, just this very calm confidence took over, and was like, why don't you just try swimming out? Which is what I did, and I sort of envisioned myself swimming, and soon I felt almost this magnetic sensation, um, almost like this separation, and I was like, wow, something is happening, what's going on? But then this calm, confident part in my brain was like, no, just continue, just, do your thing. And honestly, the next thing I realized, and I was totally lucid and conscious in all of it, also totally sober. Um,
That's important.
I found myself looking down, from the ceiling in my bedroom, and it was dark, but I could, see like the outline of my bed, and I could see, the outlines of things. I could hear, this audio book playing, and I was like, wow, I'm just amazed that here I am, you know, out of my body, floating near my ceiling. And my first instinct was actually to look down at my body. But then this other part of me was like, that's not really, worth anything. Like, just try to explore and enjoy this new state that you're in. And so I guess I tried to make my way over to my bedroom door and tried to leave my bedroom. And I found that it was actually quite difficult for me to maneuver my astral self through space. It was quite clunky. Now I know some other methods in order to make that easier. But for my first experience, I was pretty clunky, and it was kind of like, this, as you'd imagine, like a balloon, I guess is the
Yes.
closest.
Were you scared? Not to cut you off, but were you scared when you see your body floating?
I was not.
Okay.
I was just totally amazed that this was actually happening. It was completely affirmative. I was just as I am now, or any time, I was aware of things going on. I was, able to make very logical thoughts. I knew I definitely was not dreaming, and I had been conscious of the entire experience, whereas other people that I know just sort of found themselves in this state, which I can imagine could be quite scary, just to be like, oh, I'm.
Yeah, I was. Had it happen. And yeah, I was pretty scared at first. There was a person with me. Did you see anybody in your first out of body experience? Did anyone come and meet you?
I did not.
Okay.
So what happened was I tried to make my way over to the door, and I'm kind of like, clunky, weird balloon. And so I ended up going through the space between the door and the ceiling into my hallway at the time, where the bathroom is sort of on the, right next to the bedroom sort of. So the most vivid part of this experience was actually that I could sense, I don't want to say feel, but I could sense myself passing through the different matter. And I found that my senses were very heightened, and I ended up coming out sort of on the other side into my hallway near this light. And all of a sudden, I could feel this like very intense vibration. And I was sort of taken aback, and I realized that what was happening was my husband at the time was walking down the hall and going into the bathroom, which is, like a totally normal thing, but it just, my senses were so heightened, and it was so, I guess, extreme that I just wasn't used to it. And I reminded myself, I'm like, okay, this is real. This is actually happening. I tried to kind of ground myself, but then something told me to try to move my physical hands,
Mhm.
which I couldn't do. I tried again, and eventually I felt myself, my astral self, being pulled back into my physical body. And then, in a few moments, again, that um, magnetic sensation as I came into my physical self, and very much, alert and immediately, back into reality, just
Amen.
as I am. And the first thing, of course, I did was I went to see my husband, who after he had come out of the bathroom, went back downstairs, and I'm like, what happened? You were just in
Yeah.
the hallway, and he's like, yeah. I'm like, were you aware of anything? And he was like, absolutely not. But he really was very supportive of my experience, and he definitely believed me, and everything kind of added up. So that was my first experience.
So do you ask to travel now as a practice and at this
Um,
point? So like, have you taken other trips?
I have
Okay.
probably what I would want to just focus on, though, for this particular talk is
Yeah,
just that initial one.
yeah, absolutely.
Some of some of the other ones really are difficult to talk about, not because they're difficult, but there actually just isn't language for some of it. And
That's okay. I totally
yeah.
understand. It's amazing that when you were having that experience of feeling your husband's energy, did you get the sense that because we all have that our bodies are energy, when we take that last breath and the soul leaves, our soul's still alive, that energy of us. Did you feel other energy around you? Because it's almost like, I guess, in the movie Ghost is what I keep getting this flash of, how she passes through. Did he feel that, or did you feel him passing through your energy as you were floating above?
So I would have been above him.
Mhm.
um I would have been above him, so he would have passed beneath. So I just felt like this very intense vibration, I guess, as if you were like, a helium balloon, like bobbing, just I was able to see and to hear and to feel in a way that was somewhat similar to my physical body, but also quite different. Um, so I wasn't able to pick up on his, specific energy other than just, his movement through space. Yeah, and I've often wondered that too, because I know a lot of people see entities or
Mhm.
even, deceased people that were part of their life. Um, for me, I almost think that it was purposeful that I didn't, just to really have me focus on just that experience, and having this first sort of trial run with it that it really was very affirmative and incredible. It was the most amazing thing I've ever experienced so far.
I have to agree with you. I'm in the firm belief that everything happens for a reason. They took you on that journey clearly, so that you could go or have your life pivot a bit, to the path that you're now on in life. And I think that it's interesting. Myself, I mean, I had one so many years ago. It's been, I think, 32 years. And I didn't even really realize that it was one until I started interviewing people like yourself. And then it's like, oh my gosh, and it still didn't set me on the journey that I'm on now, but it kind of was a segue, you
Mm.
know. And I think that and we have these experiences. Obviously, they're part of our divine plan, at least from my, training and studying and just the work and the interviews and years of doing this type of work is kind of what I get. But everyone's different. I think it's incredible. I'm so glad that you had that experience, because I know you'll do some amazing things in the future, in addition to the astro travel. But I just see some really big things coming for you. So that's a good thing, and it's always fun when that
I'd love to
happens.
hear
So
more about that.
yes. Yeah, it's funny because so as a medium in the channel, I get a lot of people that just come through, and they're showing me the movie Ghosts, and I'm like, why are you showing me the movie Ghosts? So sometimes they like to derail me so that they can, ask you certain questions or different experiences. So did you, after that, what do you think, how long did it take you though, after that experience to go, God, that really happened? Did you
Uh,
know instantly, or did it take some time to kind of sink in?
I absolutely knew that it was real, and
Mhm.
that it was totally natural, for lack of a better word, because I guess I was very conscious of all parts of the process. It wasn't like I had drifted off to sleep. It wasn't like there was any time that was sort of unaccounted for. And I think that my first experience is unique in that way,
Yeah.
uh, because I was able to guide myself through it. So I never doubted it. It was interesting because as soon as I had it, I really wanted to connect to other people who had had these experiences.
Nice.
And that is an interesting thing to try to do because
Yes.
it's looked as if you're having some kind of a breakdown, or you have some mental illness,
Yeah.
or you just had a crazy dream.
Yeah.
So some of the people who I approached about it, and who I had felt initially safe in speaking about it with, were very dismissive of me. And that was very disappointing. And some of those ties I've actually cut with people, because they really treated me like, I'm looking for attention, or that I'm making this up, or that, something's not right upstairs. But then on the other hand, a lot of people that I connected with about it, who totally unexpectedly also had these experiences. So, it was, also very positive to find others who had similar experiences.
I really feel that, and it's true. Those that are closest to us, they do think we're kind of crazy, or unless they've had an experience. And over the years, figuring out that I was a psychic or even a medium, it took a lot. And getting married very young, I was in my early 30s, and my husband, I thought for sure he'd leave me, because he'd make fun of it, poke fun of it.
Hmm.
And I was like, I thought I was going crazy. So I completely can relate with what you experience, and the people that go, we'll see, or whatever, or you're crazy. I've had those experiences too. Luckily, over the years, with doing work, for others, I've been able to validate enough. I try not to read people that I know, for the simple fact that I want validation for them, and when it's from myself, it's like, you can't really validate, they're like, oh, you already knew that, or we talked about it, so I understand. And when those relationships leave because of whatever they feel about us at the time, or we're crazy or what have you, it's meant to be though,
Yeah.
because I really feel that spirit takes those out of our lives that no longer serve a purpose for our highest and greatest good. And that's just kind of how I feel about a lot of people, and even family, to where it is what it is, and sadly, we're going to be on our journey. We can still love and care about these people, some of them, and others, it's like, okay. But yeah, it's very humbling, I think, too, for sure. Do you, looking back, so you're coming up on the anniversary.
Yes.
So do you have anything planned for that? Or because you probably practiced now with meditation and stuff?
I haven't had any experiences for a while. but I definitely had them since. I haven't had anything planned. I probably should, because it really was a very pivotal moment in my existence. And I probably should. I had to actually take the calculator out, and I'm like, how many years ago was it? And 8 years is a long time. And
Yes.
I would say that in those 8 years, my life has, taken a very different direction. A lot of the people who've come into my life um, are definitely more of like a spiritual ilk. And there's stronger connections that I've forged, I think, through
Yeah.
this experience. And also being like vulnerable and authentic with people, and also in listening to their own experiences, which can be quite similar or quite different.
Exactly. No, I think it's great. And that, like I said, it's that pivotal point. And I think that at that time when that happened for you, did you notice anything going on? Like, that's the word I'm looking for. So with mine, there was some changes or some big event coming up as to why I had my experience. Do you think that there was something going on subconsciously in your life at that time that took you to that space? Does that make sense?
Um, it does. I don't
Okay.
think there was anything like one specific thing, but I do remember that I actually felt like I was in a very good place in my life. I was very content. Financially, I felt very secure. I felt, dare I say, very happy with how things were. And I mean, I tend to be kind of a worrier, and have a lot of anxiety.
Mm,
And
okay.
for that time, I really didn't have that the burden of all of that. So I think
Oh,
that was very important in how I was able to facilitate the experience and,
yeah.
yeah, enjoy.
It's awesome. I think it's awesome for everyone that, or anyone that has those kind of experiences, and then it takes your life into a different direction. I think is a good thing, because like you said, we go through life, and I'm probably older than you are, so I'm just saying this from experience, is going through life and having just living life, and not really, for me, just being a mom and a wife, there was always something more, that I knew I had a higher purpose for being here. But if you would have told me I would be doing the work that I do, I would tell you you're crazy, you know. And I'm one of those people that I have to see it, touch it, feel it to believe it. I don't just, oh, sure, whatever you say. I'm just not that person. And I'm not a very sensitively emotional person either. So it's definitely humbled me. It's definitely made me get out of my comfort zone and take just a completely different path. And I'm grateful for it,
Awesome.
but like you said, sometimes you're going along and you're happy and you're content, and all of a sudden they throw this wrench kind of into your plans, and then you go, what's the bigger purpose of life and the bigger meaning? I think being at peace with who we are is the biggest part of it,
Mm,
and being authentic to ourselves. So I thank you so much.
my pleasure.
I know that there's a couple of things that we won't talk about today, but maybe another time we'll be able to get together, and when you're comfortable and want to talk about just where you're headed and some of the other experiences you've had, I'd love to talk
Sure.
with you again. Yeah. So thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure. Thank you. Enjoy
Yeah.
that beautiful Oregon afternoon.